So there are like 1,000 awesome questions in the Parsha of Bereshis, in the opening section of the entire Torah. There are 1,000 amazing questions that we can get to, but I want to share with you the question that I find most exciting and most interesting, and it is it's a very basic question in the text that you can read carefully and think about. And here's the question. God opens up with the 7 days of creation. He opens up with 7 days of creation. And then right after the 7 days of creation, we're retold the story of man being created. Man was created, we're initially told on the 6th day, and then man is created. And then we have the story of eating from the tree of knowledge. Here's the $10,000 question that I've always loved. I've written about it in my book. But it's really a question that I just find so jaw-droppingly fascinating that you can think about. The story of Adam eating from the tree of knowledge. There are 1,000 great questions you could ask. What was the sin? How did he sin? He just met God. Why did he sin? Like, how could this have dawned upon him? Here's the question that nobody asked that I think is fascinating and emerges directly from the text. When did Adam sin? When did this story take place? It's right after creation. We have the creation story in the text. And then right afterwards, we have the story of Adam eating from the tree of knowledge. So in this story of Adam and Eve eating from the tree of knowledge, when did this take place? Is this a part of the creation story, or did this take place after the creation story? And you need to be a detective and find out, when do you think the Chumash, the basic text of the Torah, wants you to think this took place? And here's the question really for you to ruminate on and think about. Why does it matter? Why does the when question matter? And it really does matter, because the question is sin and failure and the deterioration of humanity, is that a part of the creation story? Did God literally bake into creation this notion of sin and failure? Or did God create this perfect, ideal world, and it was man only afterwards that began to deteriorate it? There's a lot at stake here. Was the world created perfect, and it was man and humanity that deteriorated from that ideal vision? Or was the very creation of the world, part of that creation was the creation of sin and failure? And if so, what did sin and failure create? A lot of great questions, a lot of great ideas to think about there. And I will leave you with that question that I think is so fascinating on this week's Parshas Bereshis.